From the rivers to the seas and the mountains to the plains, nature has blessed China with an abundance of species. The people who live on the land make the most of these gifts to live and thrive. With resourceful minds and skillful hands, Chinese women continue to find the best ways to use these natural materials. Through the ingenious methods of Chinese crafts, these materials are turned into daily necessities. Villager Cho Hong-mei heads out with her parents-in-law, tools in hand. It is the harvest season for rami, a plant that is native to southwestern China. It has been widely planted in areas along the middle and lower reaches of the Yangtze River more than 4,000 years ago. The white rami is a crop particular to China, which produces textile material. Today, 90% of the world's white rami is grown in China, which is why it is also known as China grass. Wanzai is one of the main rami growing areas in China. In Xiaoyuan village, the rami is hot due to the heat of the sun. The 20th day after the summer solstice is the best time to process rami. At this time, the rami can become as soft as natural silk, as well as being strong and durable. These qualities, together with the way in which it naturally separates into long, thin fibers when stripped from its stalks, makes it an ideal weaving material. After being aired and processed, rami fiber is split into strands. It needs to be spun into threads dozens of meters long. Cho Hong-mei's mother-in-law has been twisting threads for 5 decades, and she knows all the tricks of the craft. The key lies not only in the strength of the fingers, but also in the way it is twisted. To complete the whole process, continuous hard work is a must. For this reason, the Chinese word for score was derived from the process of making rami yarn. This weaving machine was produced at the end of the Qing dynasty. The women in Wanzai County are using it in the final procedure before rami turns into fabric. The rami fabric of Wanzai has a light and durable texture and excellent air permeability. It's an ideal material for traditional Chinese summer clothes, so it's also known as summer fabric. Under Cho Hong-mei's skillful hands, this old weaving machine repeats the same simple rhythm day after day. Over generations, the patience and persistence of the women in Wanzai have built its reputation as the hometown of summer fabric. Chinese people have a long traditional connection with rami fiber. The Bai people of the Yi ethnic group, who live on the western Yunnan plateau, are also experts in using rami. However, the fabric they weave only uses rami as the warp thread, and the wet thread comes from another special plant. Local women usually use this type of fabric to make gifts for their husbands, a tradition that is cherished by the Bai people. The fabric is durable and is also more permeable than the summer fabric. The western Yunnan plateau in July is filled with moisture. It is the best time for the plants to grow. Local people call this plant fireweed. it only grows in altitudes of between 1,800 and 3,200 meters. As its name suggests, it can be used for building a fire. But the local women here use it as the textile material to make the iconic costume of the Baiyi people, the fireweed costume. Jiaotiaoshu is one of the few villagers who know how to make the fireweed costume. The Baiyi people do not plant fireweed. Instead, they pick it from the wild. The first step in making the costume is cleaning the fireweed. The secret of making fireweed into a textile material lies in the thin layer of white fuzz on the back of its leaf. The women rub the fibre on their legs to separate it from the leaf. This is the most important step of making fireweed fabric. The fireweed costume is a product of nature and these women's physical labour. Jiaotiaoshu's thread twisting technique is second to none in the village. In her hand, the fuzz is turned into threads in almost no time. The fireweed threads can be weaved into fabric only after they are connected into a coil of thread that is over 10 meters long. Tens of thousands of fireweed leaves are needed to make a single fireweed costume.
这几卷就是真正的火绸布了。这个是我奶奶留下来的火绸布，她年轻时候织的。只有这几卷了。我奶奶去世之后，我也不会做，我妈妈也不会嘛，就一直没动过。这卷大的就是现在用毛线做的，是我准备结婚的时候给我老公做的衣服。
18-year-old Jiao Lijuan got engaged this year. Before she gets married, she needs to make fireweed costumes for her fiancé and her family. Making fireweed costumes is an important tradition for Baiyi brides. It shows not only their ingenuity and skill, but is also a matter of pride for a family. Though fireweed threads can be replaced with knitting wool, Jiao Lijuan still wants to make it the traditional way. For her, it's not about the clothes, but the simple and natural texture of the fireweed fabric. Since there is not much fireweed fabric at home, she hopes Jiaotiaoshu can help her to realise her wish. After the summer harvest, a festival is held. All the villagers, men and women, old and young, will gather together to feast, worship the gods, and pray for a good harvest in autumn. This is Jiao Xiongfeng, Jiaotiaoshu's husband. He is going to the market to buy food for tomorrow's celebrations.
我们办喜事的时候都穿这个，还有上节的时候又穿这件衣服。结婚的时候，媳妇送过来的，85年时候有30年。
Many people in the market wear the same clothes as Jiao Xiongfeng, but he doesn't seem to mind.
这个衣服穿起嘛，比人家好看得多嘛。 这个是禾草叶，其他人穿起那个是新时代毛线做出来的那种衣服嘛。
At the festival, Jiao Xiongfeng's costume is the only one made of fireweed. For him, it's a source of pride.
不穿的时候，柜子里面好好的放起，给它虫不吃。老的时候，我不在世的时候，我要把这一件衣服穿过去。
There are over 20 stages involved in making a fireweed costume, from picking the fireweed to spinning fireweed yarn, weaving and sewing. The whole process takes about 1 year. Rami yarn is durable, while fireweed yarn is soft. The fireweed and rami yarns are very different, but closely intertwined. Together, they make the durable fireweed fabric.
测试你这个是哪个啊喽？俺一款是侬会说么的你咋嘛喽？俺们问你是你觉得怎么都给是个？
With the villagers' help, Jiao Lijuan's fireweed costume is gradually taking shape. She's obviously very happy about it.
我还没告诉他呢，暂时先不告诉他吧，给他点惊喜。
The fireweed costume is considered precious because it is handmade by women. Their outstanding skills have become one of this ethnic group's best-known traditions. These great works of art are derived from nature's gifts. These local women continue to use these gifts to enrich their lives in their own unique way. Bulrush is a kind of plant that only grows in areas where seawater and freshwater meet. In Ruoheng Town, Wenling City, people are harvesting the bulrush they've been growing. The grass can grow up to 2 meters tall. After its tender stem is cut off, it needs further processing. Farmers are busiest at around noon during harvest season, as the harvested bulrush needs to be dried. The only way to bring out its full strength is to expose it to sunshine, which turns the hard and brittle grass into durable fibre. Wang Xiaolian has processed bulrush for decades. In her mind, only women are able to master such an elaborate craft. The women of Wenling add value to the bulrush fibre, their skillful hands bringing these almost worthless fibres to life. But before their transformation into a hat is complete, these fibres will have to pass through Wang Xiaolian's hands thousands of times.
修别的帽子了，一般岁数大的人了都会别，不过年轻人了，他现在弄别这帽子不多了。
Households making straw hats used to be a common sight, but it is one that is rarely seen in Wenling nowadays due to modern consumption habits. While few people are now adept at it, some are determined to continue this traditional technique to make quality products.
我从9岁的时候就开始产生了一个兴趣，差不多现在有30多年了吧。一个绳子一股一股的，它怎么让它编成一顶帽子？就是它怎么会编出来哈？感觉到很神奇。
Ye Junyan has maintained her fascination for this amazing craft since childhood and can now be considered an expert. It is a skill that has been passed down for generations in Wenling. Now she's gone a stage further. Having mastered the craft, she's now bringing an artistic dimension to her work experimenting with new designs that she can incorporate in her straw hats. Ye Junyan has to test combinations of several hundred different weaving methods. This sketch filled with codes is her design plan. She makes repeated attempts on paper for one sole purpose: producing a top quality product. Achieving this aim means most of the designs will be discarded. The sample room has more than 3,000 samples designed by her team over the past 6 months, and every one of them is unique. In order to get the best products, less than 10% of these hats will eventually be selected. In the hands of these women, an ordinary plant can be transformed into an exquisite handicraft. There is another traditional craft, however, that depends on the work of an insect. The silkworm is the origin of silk, one of the Chinese people's great contributions to human civilization. Less than 1/10 of all silkworm cocoons are double cocoons, which means there are 2 silkworms in one cocoon. Though such cocoons are not suitable for being made into silk, they have some other useful household applications. In Shanlian Town, Huzhou City, Zhejiang Province, every household breeds silkworms, and Shenhai Fang is no exception. This year she is hoping to harvest double cocoons. Over the past thousands of years, women here have perfected their skills of using double cocoons. They turn the otherwise inferior materials into top-quality silk wadding. Shanhai Fang learned this craft from her mother. This year she is going to use this skill to make silk quilts as a wedding gift for her daughter.
今年主要是我女儿结婚了，跟她准备几双被子，自己养的裁的被子。我们这里面都是裁了好几百年，都是市面儿女结婚的时候嘛，拉被子啊，是一个好兆头啊。被子嘛，幸福一辈子啊，我。
As the source of her daughter's dowry, these spring silkworms are very important to Shanhai Fang. Silkworms need to consume large amounts of mulberry leaves. They cannot be exposed to too much sun or damp from the rain, nor can they be infected with bacteria. Due to the heavy rain in Huzhou this year, breeding silkworms has become extremely difficult. Her daughter, Song Yinglu, works in Hangzhou and comes back to help her on the weekends. She has come back every weekend this spring to help her mother pick mulberry leaves. Recently, the silkworms have been eating well and are growing rapidly. With her neighbour's help, Shanhai Fang begins to tie the dried straw into long centipede-shaped strips. This means that the raw material for making silk wadding will soon be harvested. After the cocoons are harvested, Shanhai Fang has to pick out 2 silkworms to produce double cocoons. The silk they spin is intertwined, so the cocoons they make are larger. the silk floss that is produced will be looser and stronger.
竹剪枝的时候嘛，放一些盖，盖紧一点，轻上一点。
Shen Haifang's home is in Gangnan village, Shanlian town. Her house is by a stream. No one knows how much silk floss the local women have washed in these clear waters. Shen Haifang's mother used to be one of them, washing cocoons here and making a silk quilt for Shen's wedding day. Now it's Shen's turn to do the same for her own daughter. This year, Shen Haifang will make 4 quilts, which will require 10.3 kilograms of silk wadding. She won't be able to do all the work by herself, so she turns to her friends for help. First, they skillfully open the cocoons and stretch them gently. Then they use a wooden rack to further stretch the cocoons until they become thinner and more flexible. They need to process 2,000 silk cocoons to make 500 grams of silk wadding.
刚公司就结婚了哦。
对呀，年年再结婚好了。
像我妈妈嘴上会说：“你怎么这么早就嫁人啦？”是因为是准备的比较多嘛。她可能就是嘴上抱怨一下，实际上也不是特别怪我吧。
想想看，我女儿现在长得这么大了，一年给她拍一次照片，做个纪念吧。
With her daughter about to get married, Shen Haifang's handmade silk quilt is an expression of hope for her daughter's future happiness. Combining age-old tradition and creativity, Cho Hong Mei and her family use creativity to turn rami into clothes. While Jiao Tiao Shu passes on Bai traditions in the form of fireweed costumes. Meanwhile, Ye Junyan is pushing forward the potentialities of bulrush fibre weaving. Through their ingenuity, these women turn natural resources into works of art. These handicrafts are the fruit of wisdom and talent that have been passed down for generations. They turn the abundance of nature into resources for life, while at the same time expressing their joy for living. Xilan Kapu brocade is an essential part of the Tujia people's identity. But modern living has had a big impact on this age-old tradition. Chan Ruo Lan hopes to bring it back because of the memories it carries for her family.